Welcome back, and we are glad that you are still watching WTV, your Biashara channel. Now, this is News Review, and we've been discussing some of the top stories that are trending this week. Talking of the trending topics, of course, teacher strike is hitting the headlines in all the media houses. Then we have other stories concerning security. That's what we've been talking in the first segment. And now we go to the counties. Sad news here from Vihiga County indeed, because there was an attempt to chop off albino's ears and fingers. Quite shocking there. And now, just to bring you to speed, is that an albino is recuperating at Vihiga Hospital in Mbale after attackers tried to chop off his ears and fingers. And Enoch Jamenya Lugadiru, was attacked at his home. Very sad state of affair to see people taking advantage of the less fortunate in the society. Now, Amelia, this is a very sensitive story because we are talking about people living with disabilities. And I don't know what comes to your mind when you see such a story.
It is a very sad story because people with special needs are being attacked for different reasons. And for instance, like for the albino, it has always been about selling the organs into Tanzania, selling the organs in different parts of Africa and things like that. And that is much about the black market. And I think this is really connected with the elections that are happening in Tanzania right now, where people want to just go and impress the witch doctors. The witch doctor tells you, go and bring this and this, go and bring this and this, you're going to win and things like that. It is very sad because this is another human being who is being attacked for you to succeed. You know, it does not even make any sense in this case. And I find this very sad because it's human, inhuman
it's
to
inhuman,
yeah,
really.
to kill.
And you know, you cannot go to greater heights by stepping on other people's shoulder. So this is a very sad story to note. And just looking at the bigger picture and some of the problems now we are struggling with in Africa. And you know, one person said that one of the main reasons why Africa is regarded as a third world nation, most of the countries are third world, it's because we do not have a fourth world. Otherwise, we could be also going backwards because of some of the barbaric cultural practices that we have.
Yes.
You know, in Kenya specifically, we've been struggling with female genital mutilation, that is FGM. Now we see things like witchcraft and sorcery really coming out boldly. And these are some of the things that are really taking African countries behind. When you see people believing that when you get an albino, then you are deemed for luck or something like that. So I think it's also a wake-up call for us to move away. Remember when President Barack Obama visited Kenya some months ago, one of the things he said is that because something has been a tradition, it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
So it's the high time we abandon some of these barbaric cultural practices if we have to move forward. It's
true. And as I always say, it is important that anybody that is involved in certain areas to sensitize on the ground. Because if we don't do that, if we don't do the things that are needed to be done, people will also never be aware. You know, people perish for lack of knowledge. And a network like the Albinism Empowerment Network, they should be able to look at this matter on the ground and start sensitizing and educating Kenyans,
people, on albinism matters. And all that.
Exactly.
Talking of Albinos Empowerment Network, we also have the Albinism Society of Kenya, which for a very long time was being led by the current nominated MP, nominated by ODM, that is Honorable Isaac Maora. And I think they have a lot to do to sensitize, to educate people that the only difference when it comes to an albino, he or she is just like any other person. It's only that now there is that pigmentation for the skin. That's really what an albino lacks, and that makes an albino now prone to things like skin cancer and all that. That's the only difference. So by the fact that you are told when you bring some body parts of an albino, then you are deemed for luck, I think that's madness.
That's crazy. That's really sad.
Yeah. So I think there's and this is our call to action. There needs to be a deliberate effort to educate people on some of these things that are affecting people in this nation. And now we are talking about albinism. So the Albinism Society of Kenya and also the Albinos Empowerment Network has a responsibility to go and educate people concerning some of these practices, that these are backward, barbaric practices that should not be happening in the country. And still on the counties,
Yes,
we
on
understand
matters,
on matters agriculture now, there is a lot coming up, and the meteorological department has cautioned farmers and Kenyans at large that rain is about to come. They are talking of El Nino. So how prepared are we? Remember, we say failure to plan is planning to fail.
Very
so how
true.
prepared are we, Nelly?
Yeah, I think when it comes to an individual level, and you have families who are in prone areas where it is easy for them to have the distraction by El Nino, I think it's important to move them. I think because at the end of it all, if you live, like for instance, I'm from Muranga and we have hills, and you know very well the soil will come down to them. This is a high time people to start moving, because you don't want to be covered and die because you did not do a preventive measure. The same thing for the government. Farmers are being advised to venture into drought and disease-resistant breeds for survival, because at the end of if you don't have, if you still rely on the usual crops that survive on the normal temperatures and the normal weather, then you will die of hunger, because the crops will be distracted, because El Nino is not a joke. It's not just normal rains, it's something that we're expecting in a few days to come, because it comes in October.
Yeah, and I remember we also saw a situation whereby when we were having the rains here in Nairobi specifically, we had a lot of flooding and all that. So it's not only the farmers. When we're talking about El Nino, I think it's the high time also the county government looks at how prepared are we. Talking of being prepared, we saw a very strange scenario whereby the pressure was being given on the grass during Obama's visit to grow in 4 days or something. And that just shows sometimes how unprepared we are. Though the governor for Nairobi said, in fact, that grass had nothing to do with Obama. It was part of the strategic beautification project in Nairobi. But what I'm simply saying is that they need to plan. So El Nino is about to come. The county government, the last time we saw a lot of flooding, especially in Nairobi. And we are just wondering, how prepared are you when it comes to managing the rains, and specifically El Nino, which ever now is talking about?
And actually, I wonder, the superhighway, the Thika superhighway, if it's been fixed, because every time it really rains, it just floods. So those are some of the few things that need to be checked.
Need to be fixed.
Yes, exactly. And some of the towns that have been mentioned in residential areas that have been mentioned that are hotspots in Nairobi for flooding is High-Rise Estate, South Sea Shopping Center, Loresho, Muthangari, Kileleshwa, Zimmerman, Riverbank area, Lavington. And even, it's actually like the whole of Nairobi, because Langata, Donholm, Bagathi, Ruai. So I don't know what's going to happen before we run to looking at the other counties.
Yeah,
Nairobi already is
we do appreciate the massive projects that have come up, including the superhighway project. But now, how is the drainage system? That's something that the county government should be looking up to, so that we don't get ourselves in a situation like we were last time. And talking of farmers, there's also a good story here from Kiambu County, whereby 1,800 farmers were trained in bookkeeping.
Wow.
And this is the more than 1,800 tea farmers from Matara Tea Factory in Gatundu have graduated with certificate in financial literacy ahead of this year's bonus payments. And I really picked on this story because tea industry is one of the traditional economic pillar that has fallen. So when we see such initiatives, I think there's something to celebrate.
Yes,
and also, equipping farmers with simple financial skills like bookkeeping and all that.
Yes, yes, very true, because when it comes to financial literacy, it is very important. As long as you're in business, as long as you're an entrepreneur, you must be able to check your records, check your mathematics, how am I doing, and things like that. don't always count this coin is here, this one is here, when I merge it and this comes out like this. It is really good to keep records and say, I've grown from this level to this level. Now, how do I move to the next level? By doing this and this and this. So it is amazing. That's something I look up to.
That's amazing. Now, it's a Monday blues have set in, and we must, crazy Monday indeed, from what we have in standard newspaper. And talking of crazy Monday, there's a very interesting story here that we want just to discuss, and we would like to get your opinion concerning this story. Our Twitter handle is WTVKE. Use the hashtag news review, and you can also find us on Facebook at WTV Kenya. Now, this is the story. If scientists are saying if what scientists are saying is anything to go by, then clearly the much despised socialites might have the last laugh in the long run. Why? Reportedly, women with bigger bums like socialites Vera Sidika, Huda Monroe, Corazon Kwamboka, and many others are more likely to give birth to more intelligent children. This is what I want us to talk about. Of course, we are going to the details and the science behind it, but what comes to your mind when you hear of such a story?
Very sad. I thought to have an intelligent child, you must have also the genes. Huh? Yeah, it's a genetic thing. Yes. and the genes, I don't think they originate from the bum. Yeah. It's about the brain. Huh? So. And secondly, socialites, most of them go through surgeries to increase their bums. So why are they the benchmarks to this? I think the benchmark should be the natural women.
Let's go to the science part of it. Now, the study suggests that the ability of women to retain large fat reserves on their legs and buttocks was a vital element in survival and evolution of intelligence. Why? Now, there is a study here which has been conducted by Professor Wilf from Pittsburgh in the United States, who said that the fat in these areas also contain DHA, which is particularly important component in the human brain. You talked of brain. And it looks as if women have evolved to accumulate these fats and hold on to them until a baby arrives.
I wonder how that is done, huh? Because if there's a possibility of doing that, the young women who've not yet given birth then should start getting to know how that is done to be able to have intelligent kids. But
yes.
I think at the end of it all, we have very intelligent people in the society right now.
Yes,
and
sure.
And their mothers, you look at them, I don't think they're like Vera Sidika and they all.
Yes.
So this is just part of research that shows.
Part of research.
Yes.
Anyway, that's according to the research that was conducted in Pittsburgh, United States of America, and very interesting information here. That is, women with big butts like Vera Sidika give birth to more intelligent kids. Crazy Monday indeed. But at this point, we call it a wrap. But remember, you can always find us on Twitter at WTVKE. Use the hashtag News Review so that you can be in a position to trace your conversation, and let's keep the conversation alive. At this point, we call it a wrap. Let's do this again tomorrow.